welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry. Sam Master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 167. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, as well as various other streaming platforms. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit me up on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei, and you can also find my co-host on Twitter at GCZeus. And speaking of, as always, I'm joined with my co-host, the Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Oh, God. I kind of forgot how much, mainstream sports covering MMA sucks, but mainstream sports media sucks.
Yeah. when I got a text alert, I get ESPN notifications, and I got a notification saying Stephen A thinks, and I was like, oh nope, not reading that one. Clicking off of that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Connor brings out all of the experts who only watch MMA 2 times a year.
It's really funny because I can't remember who it was. It was Mike Wilborn or the other guy from Pardon the Interruption. No, it's a PTI. Which is the one with the old white guy and Mike Wilborn, and they just sit there and they talk to one another for
pardon interruption.
All right, yeah. This was like a decade or two ago, and not two. It was over 10 years ago. I remember it was before I started watching MMA. They were talking about why the hell we call MMA just so the people who watch Randy Couture twice a year.
Yeah.
It was something along those lines, and that's always stuck with me, especially now that the UFC is on ESPN, and it's like, oh, you guys none of you care.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. None of these people actually watch the sports that they talk about every day. They get fed notes on the games, and that's it. No one's at home watching Duke play Butler, and then flipping to the Lakers play Dallas, and doing that for 10 games every night. You know what I mean?
I mean, to their credit, you can't watch every game. There's not enough time.
But at the same time, then why not just have then why have one person talk about it with such authority? Yeah. You feel me?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's you know me. I like the X's and O's of sports, or at least combat sports. And there's only so much LeBron James doesn't have the clutch gene that I can take as sports analysis or things of that nature. It's just, come on.
Sports commentary, it's kind of weird. It's fun sometimes, and then other times it's kind of it can be exhausting to listen to. And it's why are we... I don't know. It's weird. It's all weird. But somehow we still tune in and listen to it. Well, I don't, but a lot of you guys do. I catch 15-second clips and go on about my day.
My stepbrother is a big Skip Bayless fan. I am just...
Why? Why would you do that to you? And you know what, though? I think I ended up warming up a little bit to Skip, only because I started to realize, oh, he doesn't really believe most of these things that he says. It's just I don't know if I'm going to call it a shtick, but
a gimmick.
It's
It's a gimmick.
he's a character.
Like I respect Skip Bayless for basically just highballing the shit out of Fox and getting them to pay him $25 million to just sit there and speak nonsense.
Right. Yeah, Skip is
But
a wild man.
But like even like I get that his whole thing is to act in bad faith, but like you're still acting in bad faith, and it's like I don't get why am I supposed to care about this man's opinion? Just because you put him in a suit and he has like a desk. I have a desk.
Not a two.
I have a suit.
I got one.
I'll
be on ESPN with the same suit every.
I'll never forget that. Who was it? Roger Mayweather or Floyd Mayweather Sr. who was on his show, and he looked dead in Skip Bayless's eyes and asked, "Do you know what a cross counter is?" And Skip Bayless like, "No, that's just a term you made up." And I died.
Hey man, that's what he gets paid the big bucks for.
Really just like mediocre people with hot takes. That's why Brendan Schaub's podcast is popular. Like,
Lord. Well, on that note.
Yeah.
Let's shout out to the listeners, man. Wherever you are in the world, Twitter folk, Tumblr folk. Shout out to the people who left a few comments under the I think the award show episode we did. So good to know some people were listening. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Wait, like on YouTube?
On SoundCloud, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Couple
I was gonna say, like the last time we got a YouTube comment, it was somebody called Michael Chandler a can crusher.
Yeah. But nah, a couple people seem to enjoy the award show episode, so I appreciate that. And speaking of the listeners, oh Lord, hold up. Top cities for the week. This would load up. There we go. Number 1, Mountain View, California. Number 2, Silver Spring, Maryland. Number 3, Bronx, New York. Number 4, Vista, California. Number 5, once again, Brooklyn, New York, making their return. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you. Share, like, send to your postal workers and co-workers, managers, whoever you want to send it to. Make sure they listen. So for today's episode, we will be covering, of course, what is this, UFC 246. We'll get to some news and notes, which actually have a pretty decent amount of fight announcements and news. And for our What's on Your Mind segment, we'll get to that. I have an announcement to make. I don't know how you guys are going to take this, but I have an announcement. But you know what? I want you to kick off the What's on Your Mind segment first, because I feel like I might bring down the mood a little bit.
Break some hearts.
Yeah, I might break some hearts. I might cause some heartache. So I'll let you kick off the What's on Your Mind segment.
I don't know. I think most of what is on my mind is just what is related to this card. It's always good to see people have like emotional reactions to the sport, even if they're nonsensical, and wrapped in almost fanatic cultish behaviors and attitudes. But like this whole week is just a reminder that fucking maybe the fact that the biggest names in the sport are also like some of the trashiest people in the sport doesn't cultivate a good audience, or an enjoyable audience, I guess. I'm still upset about Goodella Grasso not happening.
Yeah, that was one of the fights I was looking most forward to, and it's like, gee, she missed by what, 5 or 6 pounds?
Yeah, according to Dana White, she got so jacked because Carlos Esparza kept taking her down. So her response was to get really jacked, and she didn't realize she got so jacked that she couldn't make 115 anymore,
Mm.
which is hilarious.
Well, actually, when I get to news, I didn't write it down, but I remember the little blurb about her that I'll bring up. Yeah, that did suck though. We had to lose that fight because that was gonna be on the main card, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah, yeah.
that was my most anticipated fight. Um, Other than that, not much on my mind. I'm reading this book. Or reading. I'm listening to an audiobook before I actually go out and buy it and physically read it and take notes because I'm a nerd. Um, but I want to get the author's name before I just read out the title. The Pope and Mussolini: The Secret History of Pius XI and the Rise of Fascism in Europe by David Kurtzer. And it is fascinating, and it includes all the things that you would think a book about fascism, Mussolini, and the Pope would, including like pedophilia, Hitler. It's mainly those two things, which I'm not gonna say caught me completely off guard, but I'm like, wow, did not expect that turn.
I don't know. I feel like people were crazy back. I mean, people are always crazy, but like, I feel like there's so much that happened like back then that like we hear about crazy stories here and there, but I feel like we even haven't even scratched the surface of how like wild stuff probably was.
Let me give you like a really, really, really quick and simplified breakdown of what I've read so far because I'm only slightly past halfway in the book. Um, So Mussolini gets a bunch of angry World War One veterans in Italy all riled up, and they start this fascism political party that basically is just a bunch of young dudes with guns, and they run around the country terrorizing everybody. But Italy's in such disarray that there's no one to stop them. And eventually, the king is just like, you know what? If you guys stop, well, no, actually, he doesn't even like give him a pretense. He's like, you know what? I'll make you prime minister because like Italy sucks and we need somebody who is going to like be the strong man to get everybody in order. And there's a church political party, and the church is like, you know what? Fuck that party. We're gonna join with the fascists because they have a strong man, and we like strong men because at this point the church was very authoritarian. Um, and basically the book is the Pope and um, Mussolini going back and forth. Basically, the Pope being like, you can't just keep having your fascist goons attack Catholic priests, and Mussolini being like, I don't know what you're talking about. I,
Oh no.
yeah, it's a whole lot of that, but he keeps siding with Mussolini because he wants the Catholic Church to be like important in fascist Italy. Um, but the wildest story in the whole entire book is that the Pope and Mussolini, like, so 70 years prior to the book, Italy was unified, and part of this unification involved them taking over Rome, which was technically the Pope's and the Vatican's. So up until this point, the Pope had, so for those 70 years, the Pope had declared themselves political hostages, and they refused to leave the Vatican without Italy giving back Rome, which was never going to happen because why would they? Um, so the Pope couldn't really be seen talking with Mussolini because that would validate the Italian government, which the Vatican didn't want to do. So they had an in between. This random bishop or cardinal, whose name escapes me, um, but apparently, like, this cardinal got stabbed in the neck in his own office, and he was trying.
Yikes.
So at this point, the church was very like anti-Semitic, but they refused to like just like straight up say they were anti-Semitic, and they believed in all the same shit Hitler did. Like the Jewish financiers are controlling the world, and they're gonna make the whole world Jewish or whatever. And this bishop who got stabbed in the neck was pushing that. Like he was like, this is an anti-fascist, anti-Catholic conspiracy by the Jewish people to stab me and murder me because everybody knows I'm the go-between between Mussolini and the Pope. And he was trying to get the police to believe him, but the police were like, no, this is not even remotely true. Turned out this bishop just had a relationship with this 15-year-old boy, and they got into a fight in his office. And the boy took one of the bishop's like letter openers and accidentally like slashed his throat.
Ugh.
Yeah. And they knew this because the boy went to the hospital with the bishop. He was in the waiting room for like 3 hours while the bishop was getting worked on, and everybody knew who he was.
Yeah, I cut his throat on accident, man. I slipped over the chair.
Well, no, they were like having like a heated argument about something.
Yeah, but you can't tell the doctor that.
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen? Like, just
and then there was like a part of the book where like Mussolini blackmails the Pope because there's just a bunch of priests in Italy who are pedophiles, and he's just like, dude, like you're over here complaining about me not doing this thing, and I'm over here defending your boys even though they're out here touching on like kids. And it was just like the book is fucking wild. History is great. It's so much stranger than anything you could come up with in fiction because it actually happened.
Yeah, his history's filthy.
It is dirty.
Bunch of dirty old men, just just a heap of dirty old men just doing dirty old men things.
Like I just got past the chapter where the Pope was like bothering Mussolini because he's like, I don't want there to be girls' gymnastics in Italy. Because they wear like the leotards and everything. He's like, it's shameful, and Mussolini is just like, dude, shut up. Shut up and let me be a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
There
you go. Brush up on your history, folks. Read about the dirty old men of the past. And the dirty old men of the present. They're still here. They haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah. Most of the people who visited Jeff Epstein's house are still alive. Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
whole nother story.
All right, so sorry to eat up so much time, but Sensei, what is on your mind?
Boy, I didn't prepare a speech or anything for this. Guess there's really no other way to kind of beat around the bush. I'll preface this by saying I'm going to do another episode this week explaining this decision probably in further detail. And there's no beef. People are wild. There's no tension. I don't hate the anti-cool because he went to go see Cats. And I decided that was the final straw.
Hey, if that was the actual thing that drove a wedge between me and you know what? Worth it.
Oh man. Yeah, I've been deliberating, sitting on this for a while. Like, it's been literally some months, like probably about a good 5 months, going back and forth. And I've decided this is probably going to be the last year of the podcast. We've been on this for 3 years now. Mm-hmm. Had a pretty good run. This life priorities and things are changing. It won't be an instant shutdown. Like, this isn't the last episode, but I can say after this episode, we're gonna be a little more spread out. I'll just say for the listeners, probably from now until April, when Habib and Tony is. Yeah. We'll probably just only cover pay-per-views, so that means you'll have us for Jones and Reyes. We'll come back for Adesanya and Romero in March. Then we'll come back for Habib and Tony. God willing, knock on wood, that happens in April. And then me and Anti-Cool talked off air. We'll have a special official last episode probably after Habib and Tony. That I'll let you guys know closer to when we get there. But yeah, the podcast is gonna slowly start pretty much winding down. So probably by May, I would say. The doors of the dojo, they'll probably be closed for a while. Not to say that the show won't ever come back, but if it does, it probably won't be in this same format. But as of now, for the immediate future, pretty much until further notice, we do our official last episode. The Dojo Talk podcast will be ending after a nice, fun three-year extravaganza that we've had on this.
170 episodes.
Yes, yeah, we've been around, man. We've been around for a while. But yeah, it'll be to an end. And like I said, I'm not gonna go into full detail this episode, but I'm gonna record a separate episode, kind of detailing what my thought process and stuff has been up until this point that led me to this decision. So be on the lookout for that. But for those who have listened, if you're a first-time listener, my bad. We'll be back, but it just will be kind of sparingly here and there. But like I said, we'll be back for pay-per-views, but we'll slowly be winding down, man. But I appreciate everybody who's listened up to this point, and special shout-outs to, Joey, Stokes, all the Tumblr people who've been down since like day one, Monte, who else is out there? I'm really bad with names. All the Tumblr folk, because y'all are kind of like where we started. Like that was kind of the groundwork. And then I expanded a little bit to Twitter, so on and so forth. But shout out to everybody, man, who's been listening. Shout out to my homie Jay out there in Florida. I had a nice long talk with him kind of about this, and we went back and forth on some ideas. But no, shout out to him. Yeah, just thank you guys for listening, man, for this long. But don't leave permanently. We ain't gone yet. Still got a couple episodes left, but things are just gonna slowly wind down, and then by May this will be over. All right, got the depressing news and such out the way. Let's get on to some news and notes and fight announcements of the week. I'm gonna run through these fight announcements, and then some of these I'm sure we'll go back and talk about because we got a couple heavy hitters. Fight announcements. UFC 248 is where Adesanya has his next title defense in line. He'll be fighting Yoel Romero. Being targeted for UFC 250 is going to be Jose Aldo versus Henry Cejudo. The headline of UFC London will be Tyron Woodley returning against Leon Edwards. And at UFC, I think headlining that card will be Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira. And also on that card, we'll have Hanato Moicano, who's moving up to lightweight. He'll be facing Damir Hadzovic. Over at Bellator, we'll have Tyler Fortune versus Timothy Johnson. This is at Bellator 239. And also on the same card, Denise Kielholtz versus Christina Williams. And give one championship some love. At one, King of the Jungle. I don't think that's a name they've used yet. Sexy Yama's back. Yoshihiro Akiyama versus Sharif Muhammad at one, King of the Jungle. So I guess we got to talk about the big three. Maybe even big four if you want to count Leon Oliveira. Just some quick bullet point thoughts. What was your thought? You saw the Adesanya Romero headline.
This is gonna sound bad because I'm fine with it because I thought Romero won against Costa, and arguably beat Robert Whittaker, and if they're really not going, if Costa's not going to be healthy in time, for in a timely fashion, I'm fine with Romero getting the title shot. It was because it came down to him and Cannonier basically, right? because I can't think of anybody else in that discussion in the division. Let me see. Romero, Cannonier, I guess Till, but Till's
Yeah, he'd be the only other name just because of his name.
yeah, and he's won one fight in like those last three, which I guess you could hold that against Romero as well. But I think it's stylistically a really interesting matchup. Romero is a pressure fighter. I can easily see Adesanya like cruising on Romero, but then Romero just like doing what he did with Machida and just hitting a blast double and deciding to go hard for 30 seconds and getting the fight finished. You know what I mean? And Romero is basically just the last wrestler at the top of this division. And we've never really seen Israel Adesanya against a competent pressuring wrestler. Jerry Brunson from the start of that fight looked like he wanted out. So I don't really count that. Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I like it better than the other fight with the guy who lost multiple fights in a row. For a bunch of different reasons, but yeah, no, I'm cool with it. I'm actually looking forward to it. Like I don't. For the most part, it doesn't look like not Israel. Romero has lost a step, and even if he had, it doesn't look like it's been like a dramatic drop off, like we've seen with other dudes who've lost multiple fights in a row. So
Yeah, he's still
yeah,
a freak.
he's a ridiculous freak athlete. It makes for an interesting fight. I feel bad for Cannonier because honestly, I think he's the only other dude who really deserved the title fight given the circumstances, but his hands and it's the fight that Izzy wanted. So yeah.
I was conflicted. I feel weird about giving somebody a title shot coming off of a loss, albeit it was a close fight. I'm not even like a huge Cannonier fan, but I'm trying to keep some kind of order in the sport, which there is none. Guess I just have to come to grips with that. I felt like he deserved it. Like he's been out here making a name for himself, and if we really went in like the next man up order, I feel like he should have really gotten that shot. Albeit on paper, that's not like a sexy fight. But just to establish some kind of like hierarchy. But if I take all that aside, which kind of sucks, just looking at the fight, I guess for what it is an interesting matchup. Like you said, Romero, who may have lost a few fights as of late, but still an interesting style matchup for Adesanya. Like you said, Romero might he might get styled on for the first 3 rounds, and then in round 4 he wakes up and right, like the fight could completely turn. He literally just needs one moment, and it would be interesting to see because he's been pretty happy to just kind of throw hands and feet lately. It would be interesting if this would be the fight that Romero actually got back to using his wrestling. I'd be interested to see how that turns out. So I wanted to see Cannonier get the shot because I think he's earned it. But from what I'm hearing, we might end up getting Cannonier Till because Robert Whittaker had to pull out. Which all the best to Robert Whittaker. I don't know what's going on with him right now, but it seems kind of.
It doesn't sound. Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's hurt.
It just sounds like he's got some real life like issues. Something outside of the cage that's going on with him.
I think it's a family thing. Like I think somebody's family's like.
Yeah, something's going on with him, and I don't know what it is, but because I don't envision. I don't think like Whittaker's like one of the toughest dudes ever. Like dude's like an Iron Man. He's not somebody who I would never associate him with ducking anybody, with pulling out of a fight because of some like random reason. Like if he's not fighting and he's not injured, it's probably something serious. So just prayers and to him to whatever he's got going on. But I guess because Till stepping in as a replacement to fight Cannonier, I actually really do like that matchup. So when I put the whole story together, I guess I'm not too mad at this fight, even though I still think Cannonier earned that shot. But because of the style matchup and the fact that I think Romero actually does have like a legit chance to win, I guess I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's like in a just world, Cannonier would get that shot. 3-fight winning streak, 3 knockouts, or 3 stoppages anyway. But you always get sometimes
life ain't fair.
Things just don't break the way you want them to.
Aldo Cejudo.
That's a bad fight.
And it hurts me to say this because I love Aldo, man. One of my all-time favorites. Listen, man. I know we love Aldo, but we gotta stop. We gotta stop this, man. Like, he didn't earn this shot, man. And kind of different. I think what makes this kind of worse than the Romero situation is that, like Costa was injured, so you couldn't do Costa. And like, kind of had Cannonier in the wing, I guess, but I feel like with Aldo, like, I didn't think he won. And even, I don't know, there's something about this fight, it kind of just bothers me. Like, I get it, like, he did perform better at 135 than I think a lot of us thought he would. Like, there were a lot of questions going into that Moraes fight. And he did. He looked pretty good. But if I'm really being honest with myself, as a diehard Aldo fan, I can't say that performance was good enough to reward a title shot. I can't honestly say that. Now, don't get me wrong. If Aldo wins, I'm yelling and screaming. I'm not gonna lie. But like, yeah, in a division where you have guys like Jan, Aljamain, like, there are other great fighters who are on winning streaks, who have clearly shown that they're ready for a crack at the title, that should be ahead of Aldo. Like, it's just kind of that simple. As far as the matchup, can Aldo win? Maybe. I want to see him win as much as I don't think he deserved a shot. And I can't really blame Aldo. It's not his fault. Like, if somebody calls you and say, hey, you want a title shot, you're not going to say no. So, like, it is what it is. Can he win? Maybe. Will he win? I don't know, man. I think this might be one of those fights. He might have some good moments early on, but I think eventually he'll end up getting overwhelmed. Not a huge fan of this matchup, just because I really wanted to see Cejudo and Aljamain, or definitely Cejudo and Jan. So I'm not a huge fan of this matchup, but if Aldo wins, I love Aldo, so I'll be screaming at the top of my lungs. But I don't know. I somehow I don't feel like it's gonna end well for him.
Yeah, I don't like this fight. Like, I don't even like. I didn't think Aldo looked all that great. Like, he looked better than, like, he didn't get knocked out, which is what I thought would happen. Like, a quick first down knockout, but he did get hurt 3 times in the same round. And when Marlon Moraes decided to plant his feet and throw, he did hit him. And a lot of that fight was just Aldo tanking damage while marching down Marlon Moraes, and occasionally showing us the slips and stuff that we saw at him do at featherweight. But like, Henry Cejudo is just going to march Jose Aldo down. He's not going to give Jose Aldo the space that Marlon Moraes did. Like, this is different from the Romero fight for me, because one, like, Romero got put through the ringer pace-wise when he fought Costa, and he, like I said, he looked good and he looked like he should have won. The Aldo Moraes fight was Moraes basically letting Aldo into the fight by just being scared off by pressure. And maybe that's maybe I'm being unfair to Aldo here, but I don't like this fight for him. I don't like the cut for him. He looks like death on the scale. It's only going to get worse. Like he's like 30 something, like he's like 33 years old or something. It's not like the cut's going to get easier for him just because he did it once. He's got a ton of mileage on his body, um, as is. Um, yeah, I don't like this fight for Aldo. And unlike middleweight where like, it's basically just like, oh, the guy got hurt, so we're just gonna throw the next guy up. Like the next guy up was Peter Yan or Aljamain Sterling, and they're both getting, you know, left behind for a dude whose prime was at a different weight class.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, not a fan of the matchup, but if he wins, I'll be
Big
happy.
win.
Yeah,
Huge
I'll
win.
definitely be happy.
Yeah, but I don't like this fight.
Yeah. Weird MMA times we live in.
Remember when Aldo was going to retire last year?
Yeah, we all know retirements are a temporary process. It's just an extended break. You just go home and take a really long nap.
Aldo never even got to that point. He was just like, I'm going to bantamweight.
Woodley Edwards. I'll keep this quick. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. I do like this matchup though. I like this matchup. I think it's a good return fight for Woodley. I think this is a good. Even though, in my opinion, I feel like Edwards to me has kind of proved himself already. But if there's no other fight that shows that he's not like at the top tier of welterweight, then I guess this will be the fight to show it that he belongs in that like upper echelon. Um, I'm just interested to see how Woodley rebounds from that Usman fight. Like we've never really seen. I haven't seen Woodley get beat up that bad since the Marquardt fight in Strikeforce, which you know he got pummeled in. But I'm interested to see how Woodley bounces back. But this is a dangerous guy to have a bounce back fight against because I think Edwards has a chip on his shoulder. I know a lot of people don't like him, but dude is a really good, a really good fighter. So yeah, I like this matchup. I'm favoring Edwards because I think he'll be able to pressure Woodley, but I'm not gonna count Woodley out. A guy rebounding who literally has his back against the cage. Got to see. We'll see where he's at. We'll see where he's at. But I like the matchup, but I'm gonna lean slightly towards Edwards.
Yeah, I like this fight. I'm picking Edwards just on activity. Also Tyron Woodley. How old is he now? He's like 36. No, he's 37. You know, one of the things we've seen with guys as they get older, like it gets a lot harder to pull the trigger. It gets a lot like your body starts breaking down. Like in Woodley's very much a dude who needs to pull that trigger in certain moments of the fight to win. He's not gonna be a guy who outworks you. You know, he's only fought twice in the past 2 years, since 2018. He's had injuries. He had the bicep tear in the Damian Maia fight. Like the big thing to me in the Kamaru Usman fight wasn't that he got out wrestled. It was that like he got no offense off. Like that was one of the most one-sided performances I think we've ever seen from the challenger. Over a 5-round fight. Probably the most dominant one since RDA took it off Pettis, I imagine. If Woodley can't pull the trigger, here's the thing with Leon, like he's a great master of range. So unless Woodley is going to walk him down and walk him onto that big right hand, I don't see how he wins this. Like that's always been Edward Achilles' heel. Like he does not handle pressure well. It's how Brian Barberena rocked him. It's how Kamaru Usman beat him the first time. I don't imagine this is going to be like a super fun, like exciting fight. It's going to be a low volume kickboxing match. Yeah. Unless Woodley just uncorks something that takes Leon Edwards completely by surprise, I don't see a path to victory from him here. Like maybe he out wrestles him, I don't know, but like I don't think he can do that for 5 rounds while gassing, or at least I don't think he thinks he can do that for 5 rounds while gassing. I should say, because he fights to conserve all his energy. Like he is afraid of a repeat of the Marquardt fight.
We'll see. He might might have to just keep a right hand tucked in the chamber. That might.
I can see this fight going a lot like the McDonald dude who was just able to bridge off of, like, he would throw his offense and would bridge and just stymie anything that Woodley was throwing back at, would want to throw back at him, I should say, along the fence, and it just made Woodley, like, he had no idea how to handle it. So I can see Edwards doing something like that because he's also a guy who likes to bridge off his attacks.
We'll see. So. Interesting matchup, but I like it. So kind of for the sake of time, just a quick mention. I really love that Kevin Lee DuBronx matchup. Won't really go into it because of time. But no, really good matchup and low key.
Yeah.
I know, like the fight that a lot of people were hyping for was Lee and Makhachev, but I kind of actually like this one better, and I'll just leave it at that. I think this matchup is kind of fire. But moving on to some news. I got a few news stories. Don't got to spend too much time on these, but a couple interesting notes. Bellator, Mr. Scott Coker. Because of some things shaking up over at the network between Viacom and CBS, they have some kind of merger or whatever going on. Scott Coker has a new boss. Why should we care? Because his new boss is a gentleman named, let me get his name right, Steven Espinoza,
yes,
who is the Showtime Sports president. And as of right now, it seems like this doesn't really mean anything other than Coker has to report to a new boss. But the reason this could potentially mean something in the future, because Espinoza has been involved kind of with MMA in the past. According to this article that I'm reading on MMA Fighting, just a quick little blurb. Espinoza, excuse me, previously has shown interest in overseeing MMA after Strikeforce paired with Showtime prior to acquisition by UFC parent company Zuffa in 2011. But he hasn't really done anything MMA related since then. But him kind of, I guess, having Coker under his wing, I guess, so to speak. I don't know. It could be something potentially to look out for in the future. Like, as of right now, there's no rumors of a shakeup, nothing changing, but a story to keep an eye on to see if this like goes somewhere for Bellator. I think there's good potential for Bellator if Showtime can rein them in. Maybe, I don't know, give them a new platform. Just I feel like there's something that could come of this that could be of really good benefit to Bellator.
So, for MMA fans who don't know who Steven Espinoza is, he is the head of Showtime Sports. Or I don't even know if that's the name of the division anymore because they don't really have sports. Well, no, they have. Do they? Are they the ones who do Hard Knocks, or is that HBO?
It's just HBO, I want to say.
Okay, okay, but they do have like other sports shows. I'm just blanking on the names. But point being, like he's supposedly the guy who was able to get Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao together to get the fight done. Like he's responsible, like he's the guy responsible for bringing Floyd Mayweather onto Showtime back in the day, or I say back in the day, but it was like 8 years ago. Um, he is responsible for some of the biggest pay-per-views in the history of boxing, or just pay-per-view in general. All the Floyd Mayweather fights, the Mayweather Canelo fight, Mayweather McGregor, and Mayweather Pacquiao. So he was also I think he was like Gina Carano's former agent. So I can only see this as a good thing. Um, and obviously he's not responsible for Floyd Mayweather being the biggest star in boxing and combat sports, but like when you're the guy who's able to get the most the like some of the biggest stars together to actually sit down and talk and make money, like that's a good thing. I don't know how that will trickle over to MMA. I don't know if he's going to look at some of these Bellator cards headlined by like these dudes with who are getting paid like $500,000 and our 40-year-old heavyweights and going to be like, okay, you got to cut that shit out.
Please.
Or if he's going to be like, yeah, no, free show fights. Like I did McGregor Mayweather. I know all about the free show fights. Let's get this shit done. I don't know what's going to be his take on it, but I'm hoping it leads to better production value on Bellator's end. Like they fucking get rid of Goldberg and McCarthy. Up the because I can't help but get the feeling that I'm watching like regional MMA when I'm watching Bellator nowadays. I don't know if it's because they do the screen and it makes everything look small, but like it does feel small. Like I'm reminded of like the early days of Bellator when they're like doing like the fog machine to hide the fact there are like 50 people in the audience. But yeah, no, I for one am excited to see what Espinoza can do to shake things up for Bellator.
We'll see. We'll see. So keep an eye on this.
Does CBS have like a streaming service that they're coming out with?
Yeah. Isn't that where like The Office, I want to say, or is that NBC? I'm pretty sure they do have a streaming service though. Don't quote me on that Office thing, but I think they do have one.
They have CBS All Access. I should remember this because that's where the WNBA had to deal with last year.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if they're thinking of putting that on if they're going to bring over Bellator and take it off the Zone. Though the Zone is the whole reason that Bellator is profitable, so I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah. And moving on to the last bit of news, I won't spend much time on this, but it's kind of funny. Fabricio Werdum. He's back, or he will be back sooner than we thought. I'm reading this article, give credit. Mookie Alexander from Bloody Elbow. Fabricio Werdum gets reduced USADA suspension after providing substantial assistance. I'm just going to read this quick blurb. You can make of this what you will. USADA announced today that Fabricio Werdum of Redondo Beach, California, was granted a 10-month reduction in his original 2-year suspension. Werdum's period of ineligibility began on May 22, 2018, but was told for a period of time while he was not available for testing and retired. After being reinstated, and with his reduction, his new period of ineligibility is set to expire on April 1st, 2020, which is only a few months away. Werdum, 42, received a reduction from the otherwise applicable period of ineligibility due to substantial assistance under the applicable rules, an athlete facing a period of ineligibility who provides information that leads to the discovery of another violation or which results in a criminal or disciplinary body discovering an offense is eligible for a sanction reduction. Which, if you read between all those big words, probably snitched on somebody. Narc. Narc.
Did we ever find out who John Jones snitched on?
No. Nobody knows who John snitched on. Nobody knows. But, yeah, it seems like, listen, I wasn't in the room. I don't know how it works. Might have been some tattletaling going on. A couple of fingers getting pointed. But, due to that,
Werdum even train with? Because like, doesn't he train in like Spain by himself? Like, wasn't that his whole thing? Oh no, he's at Kings. Ooh, ooh, wait, who from Kings got busted recently?
y'all better start deleting text messages. It's about to get real. It's about to get real over there, man.
I mean, Diego snitched on John Jones, so it is what it is, I guess.
It's a free for all, man. It's ruthless in these streets.
All right, so RDA, Shogun, Vanderlei, blah blah blah. Damn, this is an incomplete list. All right. I'll figure it out by the end of the episode.
All right.
Who's got suspended recently?
But that was just a quick blurb. I thought that was kind of funny. But Werdum might be back. I don't know who he fights. I'm be honest, I'm not like too excited at another Werdum fight. But if you see him back, you know why. And the last bit of news I have, and then we'll just move on to covering the card. I forgot to mention this earlier. UFC bolstering up their light heavyweight division. They signed Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion Modestas Bukauskas, if I'm saying that correctly, and rising light heavyweight champion Jerry Prochaska, who gave poor CB Dalloway, put him in a coffin. Go listen to our rising recap. You'll get that recap. But
that was sad.
Yeah, but
also funny.
Yes, it was. But bolstering up the light heavyweight division, I'm all for it. Shouts to Jerry Prochaska, which I guess that means we won't get to see him and Ryan Bader, but is what it is.
And we got the dude who beat him to fight Ryan Bader. Or wait, the guy who Khalidov.
But I like the signs, so see what both those gentlemen do. All right, man. Let's get on to the reason why y'all are here. Let's get this going, man. UFC 246, McGregor versus Cerrone. Man, a lot of anticipation, obviously, with this fight. So much surrounding this fight. Just Conor with doing God knows what outside of the octagon. Just sexual assault cases. Yeah, nothing good.
Can we just... Before we get to the actual fight, I want to talk about how what's his name was in there with him. What was the guy's name? Tony Robbins.
He was? I didn't notice.
Yes. So, life coach, philanthropist, author Tony Robbins has apparently been Conor McGregor's life coach for all of 2019. And funnily enough, it also means that he, because he was in the cage, it also means Conor McGregor wasn't the only man in the cage who's been accused of sexual harassment in 2019. Yeah. So, as of the time, 9 women have reportedly accused Robbins of sexual misconduct. BuzzFeed News published a 6-part article accusing Robbins of molesting a teenage girl during his time as a star speaker at Super Camp and Elite Camp in Southern California. The article claims the events took place in 1985 when Robbins was 25, and there are at least 2 eyewitnesses. So that's who. So if you're wondering why Conor, I'm not gonna put all the blame on Robbins, but if you're wondering who Conor McGregor returned to in this year of tumult, it was another man accused of sexual harassment. So. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, just a lot surrounding this fight. Haven't seen Conor since the Khabib ragdolling. Cerrone's been out here, but he's lost, what, 2 in a row?
Yes, and oh, I guess we'll talk about the fight now. Fucking bitch about that, I guess.
But, like, this fight was a matchup that I think on paper, like, Conor was supposed to win. I had my reservations just because, like, we didn't know where Conor was at. Like, he had so much going on outside the octagon. MMA is a crazy sport. You never really know what's going to happen. I thought it was a fight that on paper Conor should win, but, like, you just never really know. And it's hard. I still feel like after 40 seconds, I don't know how much this fight told me. I'll say, I guess, and it's hard to judge because literally it's just a 40-second sample to like nitpick from. But I guess just looking at like body language, kind of just, I don't know. Like I thought Conor, he looked okay. Like I felt like in the Khabib fight, like just watching him, it just seemed like he wasn't like there. Like I don't know if like the moment was, I don't say the moment was too big, but I don't know, just something to me seemed like he really wasn't there that fight. And not making an excuse for him, like I picked him to lose and he lost pretty much the way I thought he would. But he didn't look like the Conor like who's really like super confident and boisterous. Like he looked, I don't know, he looked off to me. In this fight I didn't get that. He looked like he was really sure of himself. I thought he looked okay. He looked good. Comes out, straight left, Cerrone ducks it. They clinch. Conor throws power shoulders. Was like 3 or 4 of them. Busts up Cerrone's nose. They break. There's a head kick. Cerrone gets stunned. Conor blitzes him. Game over. And on one hand, you can say like it was a wipeout, which it was. Like he went in and just kind of bodied Cerrone in literally under a minute. I think he won. Outside, I don't think anybody saw the shoulders being the main like weapon in the fight. So that was kind of crazy. But I think he did. I think the UFC knew what they were doing when they made this matchup. Yeah. And I don't want to take away from Conor. I'm trying to like keep my biases aside. But he won. This was a fight he was supposed to win, and he won it. The shoulder thing is still wild, though. I can't remember many times I've seen somebody literally get busted up with a shoulder. That's an interesting technique, but hey, it worked. I guess my thing for this fight is when I strip away, and like I know it was a moment, people love Conor, whatever. He wins in first round, and it's sexy. You can put it on the front page and throw it on ESPN, and it sounds great and it looks good. But I'm looking at the big picture, and I'm like, I get it. This is a good moment for him, great moment for him. He looked good, he looked great. But I don't know what this really tells me. Like, I can't judge this performance and say, I'm definitely not going to judge this and say, you're ready for the Khabib rematch. No. I got to dead that discussion before we even get started. He should not be fighting. This as good as this performance was, this is not a fight that you come back and beat a guy who was on a 2-fight losing streak and get a title shot off of, which maybe in today's UFC, because that's we just hand out title shots like it's nothing. But when you have guys like Gaethje in the wing at lightweight, or if you want to stay at welterweight, the Masvidal fight, like this shouldn't be a title rewarding performance. But I'll give him credit, like this was a fight he was supposed to win. He won it in emphatic fashion. He looked good doing it. But I don't know. I guess I just need to see more. I need to see another fight. Like you beat a guy who you were supposed to beat. Now if this was a fight, like had this been like a Gaethje fight, or had this been like the Masvidal fight, and he did this to Masvidal, I'm like, all right, I can't really say nothing. You know, I'm not gonna say nothing. But it was a great performance, but it's just there were other things surrounding this, other circumstances that I'm just kind of like, no, I can't. Great job, but you don't get a title shot off this. You should not get a title shot off this. But all in all, I don't want my biases to overshadow. It was a great performance. He dominated from start to finish. It's not much else to say.
All right. So I'm gonna take it a little farther than you did. I don't even think it was a great performance. Like I think it was a good performance, and I say that in part because in the past 6 months, well, for starters, this is the fourth time I've seen Donald Cerrone get stopped in the first round. In a big fight, Anthony Pettis did it. What's his face did it. RDA did it also in like 66 or in like 66 seconds or whatever. And then not even 4 months ago, Justin Gaethje did it. Oh wait, I'm forgetting one because Darren Till also did it.
Mm.
Was Darren Till first or second round?
Let's go to the record. I want to say first, but let me confirm. Ramble on. It's gonna take me a little bit to pull this up before this trash.
So yeah, the elbow strikes were impressive, but like I saw Donald Cerrone's face like swell up and morph like in July, and then he fought 2 months later, landed zero offense basically, and then got knocked out by the most punchable dude in the division.
It was first round.
First round. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's happened a bunch, basically. Like, so, and we've been calling Donald Cerrone a great stylist and matchup for Conor McGregor since before he beat Jose Aldo. And that was before he got knocked out like 6 times or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so the whole thing for this fight was just like, okay, is Conor still Conor? And it's just like, oh, of course he is. Like, for as bad as the Khabib fight, like, well, not, I shouldn't say. Okay, for starters, I thought Conor looked good in the Khabib fight. I thought he looked as prepared for Khabib as he possibly could with his style of fighting. I think Khabib is just a ridiculous athlete, like top 5 in the sport, and I don't think most people like grasp that concept because most of the top athletes in our sport tend to look like really fluid, solid strikers.
Right.
And Khabib is not. He's a broken striker who has a very long jab, and a really awkward too. But like, in terms of just straight up speed, explosiveness, and power, easily top 5 in the sport. So for me, like, you know, unless all the coke that Conor's been doing for the past year has fucking just rattled his system, which of course it hasn't. It's a PED. We've been over this. Like there was no reason for him to not come out here and not put the put the bricks to Don Cerrone. And like I'm not trying to take everything away from him. Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, this was to be expected, but like I don't want to see him fight Khabib off of this. I don't look at the Usman fight any differently because of this. And like the whole he's like he never left like it's hard to articulate. Like I'm trying to think of like a corollary. But this to me, this was like if after she got knocked out by after she got knocked out by Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey came back and fought like, I don't know, Juliana Pena, someone who exclusively only fights in the clinch and can move coming and like just runs forward at her opponent. And Ronda was the hitter with a hip throw and then armbar in like 30 seconds.
All right.
This is the equivalent to me. It's just like, oh yeah, you can still do this thing that you could do a year ago.
But it doesn't show me like.
It doesn't show me you got better at the places you need to get better to beat the person you want to beat.
Right.
It just shows me you're still good at the thing we knew you were already good at.
Yeah.
And in Connor's case, this is pressure. It's, fighting out of southpaw, baiting dudes to reach down on him, and then blasting them. He's great at that. He's always been great at that. He's been great at that since before he got to the UFC. It's just like yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. I'm not saying like it's just like the whole entire build up and aura around this fight just had me completely disinterested because first round KO was how I saw this fight going. So call me a hater. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where like it was, you did what you were supposed to do, and I give you props for what you came out, you executed, shut them down.
But it's not like. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it's not like I can't put you on this pedestal because you won the. We gave you a matchup that favored you and you won it.
Against an opponent who has gotten the shit beat out of him in the last 6 months twice.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm glad to see that you look okay. Like,
no, you look good.
Yeah,
good,
I'm glad to see that everything seems like it's clicking. But I have to treat you the same way I treat everybody else. Like,
yeah, exactly. You Connor gets all this extra attention and like reverence that like we don't give everybody else.
Yeah, it's like, bro, you're still coming off a title loss. We didn't forget that. You kind of got to go to the back of the line. And I feel like it would only be different if he was in like if this was like 205 or like heavyweight. I probably wouldn't care. But when you're in a division, be it lightweight or welterweight, where there's a lot of violent dudes everywhere and a lot of dudes looking to make a name, you can't really just jump the line after this because there are people in both divisions who I think could give you some smoke. And just for once, I would like to see you fight a contender before you go jump into another title shot.
Right.
I don't think that's a lot to ask. Like, if you go down to lightweight and you fight Gaethje and you put Gaethje's lights out, I have nothing bad to say about you.
Yep, exactly.
I have nothing bad to say about you.
And that would be a unique matchup because Gaethje's a great leg kicker, and while he does eat punches, like he never tends to go out on the first punch.
Right.
You got to beat him over the course of the fight. Like, and does McGregor punch himself out before he actually is able to get around to finishing him?
Right. So it's just, I just want to see Conor earn. I just want to see him earn the shot, and I don't think that's asking. We're not putting any extra demands on him. I just want to see you do what everybody else has to do. You came back. You got a good win. Great. Do it again. Against somebody who's preferably on a win streak and somebody else who's vying for that title shot who really deserves it. And if you can get them out of there, go ahead. Have at it.
See, the fight I want to see is him versus Masvidal. Because I don't think he'll take the Gaethje fight. Just because, like, Gaethje's just not the name. And, like, if I have to sit through another, like, Conor build-up freak show event deal, I'd rather it be against somebody who's going to make it interesting. As opposed to, like, another Donald Cerrone. And it's not like it takes away anything from anybody. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not exactly over here gnawing at the bit to get Masvidal versus Usman.
Yeah, Yeah, I like the. I'm still kind of 50-50 on who I want to see between him and Gaethje or him and Masvidal.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If I got in perfect world, I'd love to see McGregor Gaethje.
But he
But
seemed like he was cool with the idea of hanging around at 170. I don't know how much that's going to hold true, but if you're going to hang around at 170, there's no better opponent. That's Masvidal on fire as of late. Like, man, really blew up last
huge
year.
star.
Yeah, like
Huge star, second biggest star in the sport, arguably right now.
right. So that's a fight that makes sense in terms of it. That fight makes sense in terms of a lot. Like, it's a name. You get a star. That's a fight that a lot of people would get hyped about. And on top of everything, the most important thing, you're getting a very competitive opponent. Like, this is a fight that if you win that and you win it impressively, hey man, all right, whatever. All right, have fun. Go fight whoever you need to. But yeah, good performance. He wiped Cerrone out. Shout outs to the left shoulder. Real quick before we move on to the next fight, which we don't even have to talk about a lot, because my God, did it not give us much to talk about. But any words or thoughts on I don't know if you saw this on your Twitter or anywhere on social media, but the fight being a fix. And
y'all
thoughts.
Stupid. Y'all stupid.
Yeah, no, Cerrone lost, and I
Fuck
get it. Like,
Stephen A. Smith.
oh, he said that.
You know, he was talking shit on Cerrone. Like, I'm not even a Cerrone fan, but like, just I'm disgusted with his performance. Like, motherfucker, shut up.
Yeah, you're not. You didn't pay attention to MMA all year.
Fucking fake ass tough guy.
Like Cerrone just got. I mean, and like you said, like you alluded to earlier, Cerrone's been catching a lot of heat lately in these last couple fights. Like, he's really been catching it. Like, I feel like the only thing far-fetched about this fight is just we haven't really seen people get damaged with shoulders. Like, that was just kind of like, that was just a little different. That was a little out there. But in terms of just Cerrone just getting blasted, like,
that's happened a lot.
That's happened. He's been. It might not have happened in 40 seconds, but he's been catching some slackings as of late. You know,
and also, the dude's out here fucking ripping on him for having 14 losses, who are like boxing fans. You're like, oh, McGregor be a dude with 14 losses. Oh, he's so good. It's just like, okay, dudes, like, this isn't boxing. You don't get to fight, I don't know, Rod Salka when you're a world champion. Like, when you're a top 5 dude, you gotta fight other top 5 dudes. And, you know, if you do that over 10 years, you're bound to lose a lot.
Yeah. There's no padding the record with 20-0.
Yeah, you don't get, like, this is the UFC. The only person who gets rebound fights is Conor.
Yeah. Everybody else, yeah, you gotta earn that keep, buddy. You will be fighting the best of the best. But we'll see though. I guess I'm slightly leaning. I'm not mad at either the Gaethje or the Masvidal fight, but I guess for the perfect storm, if he's gonna hang around at 170, and they want another big fight to get people talking, let's do this Masvidal fight. Let's he was out there in his robe. Let's make it happen. Conor didn't say his name though. I thought that was interesting. Conor didn't like call anybody.
I heard that he was off put by the robe. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah. But it is what it is. But shout out to Conor McGregor. He got the win. Power to the shoulder, I guess. All right. Moving on to the co-main event, which we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on because they didn't give us much to talk about. Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. Rematch.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of clinch fighting, a lot of pushing against the cage. Not a lot.
All by Holly Holm, not who I expected to be the person to try to do that.
Yeah.
But then again, that's how she beat Megan Anderson. Except she was able to get Anderson down.
Yeah, see, I feel like this fight would have been much more interesting if Holm would have at least managed to get some takedowns, but
that wasn't even part of her game plan. She just wanted to push her against the cage.
That was it.
Also, Freaking Joe Rogan just capping for Holly Holm super hard on commentary, being like, "This is fighting." It's like, no, dude, this is entertainment.
He said this is what was his quote? Paraphrasing, but it might not look great, but this is mixed martial arts technique.
And she's beating her up, and it's just like, no, she isn't. She really isn't.
She's putting her against the cage and throwing some knees every so often. Wouldn't really call this a beating. I don't think she lost any teeth. Probably wasn't too bruised up. Might be a little tired, a little winded, but
like I'm sure Raquel Pennington could like go run like a 5K today if she wanted to. She is probably not hurting.
I guess my only, I don't know if her cornerman said this, but and we don't gotta spend a lot of time on this, but I don't know. It sometimes it bothers me when a fight goes like this, and if I'm the losing fight, I'm wondering what like your corner people are telling you, because it's like, bro, at this point, like you're literally you're getting pushed against the cage and just kind of, I can't even say getting beat up in the clinch. You're not getting beat up. You're just getting slightly outworked, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, you just gotta do something, anything. Like, just something. Just give me something. Like, I don't know, man. There's not a lot to talk about to that fight. It wasn't. If there was one fight you skipped on the main card and went to go take a bathroom break or sneak in a nap,
it should be this one.
Yeah, that was it. So, I don't got to spend a lot of time on it. It wasn't really worthy of coverage. But Holly Holm did get the unanimous decision win. So, congrats to her. Moving on to the heavyweights. Heavyweight fights are always always interesting. Alexei
That's one way
Oleinik.
to put it.
Yeah, you know, like Alexei Oleinik, Maurice Green. How you feel about this?
So this is a case study in heavyweights just continually make bad decisions, and that's why most of them are bad fighters. Like I think I once called like Stipe was just like, oh, Stipe is arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. It's literally just because he's not a freaking like he doesn't make stupid decisions like Maurice Green did multiple times. Like, okay, I got this big grappler dude, and all he wants to do is take me down and get me to the ground. It doesn't matter how he does it; he's just gonna do it. So when he gets to my back, I'm going to go for this Kimura lock as opposed to trying to break the grip. And then all he does is fall backwards, and then he's on top because he has his leg between my legs, and I don't know what I'm doing. And oh my God, he's going for Ezekiel choke. Oh my God, he's going for a scarf hold. Oh my God, he's got me in an arm bar. I'm over. It's done. Whatever. It's like, what was the plan? Because there were moments in this, like especially at the start of the second round, where he was just like, you know what? I'm moving. I'm fluid. I'm gonna turn him anytime he tries to get close. I'm gonna hit him. And he did that for like a minute, and then he was just like, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna go for this Kimura again.
What are you in a scarf hold for like the entirety of like the first round?
He was in the scarf hold for like the last minute and a half of the first round, which was just hilarious.
Like, jeez. See, it was weird because it was weird. I was really tired around when this fight happened, and I'm kind of mad that my nap happened during this fight and not the Holly Holm fight. I had to go back and rewatch this one this morning, but I was like, man, Green started off decent. He had that leg kick right in the beginning that put Oleinik down. Like, old man legs just gave out on him after one kick. I'm like, all right, Maurice, if you stick and move, you might have a nice little, this might go all right. But it's heavyweight, man. Like, it's heavyweight. Things are bound to go wrong at heavyweight. I don't know how old Maurice Green is, but is Alexei Oleinik available for a post Get Off My Lawn award? Probably got a couple of those to hand out.
Maurice Green is 35, I think.
And then Alexei Oleinik like 50.
Alexei Oleinik he's won fights in 4 different decades.
Yeah, he's old, man.
He's the only fighter to have done that, apparently.
Yeah, so no, he gets a post Get Off My Lawn award. If you don't know what we're referencing, go watch listen to our award show episode. Props to Oleinik though, like a guy who is one of those guys that even though sometimes it's a double-edged sword. I still respect those guys who, when they come in, you know exactly what they're trying to do. It's not a secret, and they still manage to get it off.
I mean, everybody knew what to expect when they played AI. Everybody knew the way out for the crossover, but it doesn't mean he didn't get it.
Right. It happens. Like Oleinik will go in there. You might piece him up a little bit. You'll tag him a couple times, but he will find a way to close the distance. He'll get you down, and he's going to work his game. And
Yeah, belly down armbar.
Yeah.
By a 250-pound, 40-year-old man.
Yeah. Old man strength with the armbar.
Yep.
Yeah. And Maurice Green kind of aided him just playing around on the ground too long, man. Should have been sticking and moving. But,
he's
hey,
a
man.
kickboxer.
Right. I would have thought after that first leg kick, you put the old man down. You literally just should have been sticking and moving.
But he fought in glory. Like, you figure he's like, okay, I got the advantage on the feet. Why? I'm not even gonna bother with like submission attempts and like all these other shit. I'm just gonna break the hands if he grabs me and then go back to kicking him. He's just like, nope.
Going for that Kimura. And at one point, and we get off this, I can't remember if it was during the first or second. I thought he was gonna sweep him with the Kimura. It looked like he was about to pull it off, and like it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, he lost. That's over.
He is no Sadiq Yusuf.
Nope. Nope. But shout outs to Alexei Oleinik, man, winning fights in 4 different decades out here. Still showing you youngins how it's done.
Can't believe he got submitted by Chael Sonnen. Yeah.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it. But congrats to Alexei Oleinik, man. Great win. Nasty submission. So congrats to you, good sir. Moving on to another fight that ended in a pretty quick submission. Over here at bantamweight, Brian Kelleher versus Ode Osborne. I like what Osborne did in the beginning with the jumping punch. I thought that was pretty interesting. Didn't have much highlights after that though. Jumping punch. I think he landed a couple strikes after that through like a head kick or something. But
made just some nice elbows off his back. Give him that.
And then after that it was over.
Yep.
It ended up in what looked like a very painful guillotine. Like Kelleher put his mind, body, and soul into that one and made the young man tap out with his feet. Don't see that often. Like literally made him tap out with his feet. Can we stop putting some of these fight contender guys on main cards?
Could we stop trying to like I feel like you really cheapen the whole idea of like the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series when you just give these dudes who are obviously still hella green like top 10 fighters and then they get bounced in the first round. You cheapen the quality of your product. But like they're using these dudes as like they're not investments, they are just bodies for the grinder.
And it's like that kind of ruins the whole point of the Contender Series. Like you're supposed to be using this show to find like your next big star, just next great fighter, but you still need to build those guys up. Like
right, like it shouldn't be that hard to find somebody who wants to fight Brian Kelleher, who's not like. Was this the original matchup or was this like a late replacement?
I think I want to say this was a replacement.
All right, so that makes a little bit more sense. But even then, like maybe don't put this on the main card.
Right. Because was this an original main card fight? I think this
was the fight that got bumped up for Grasso Gadella falling off.
And that's crazy. Like Youssef and Philly definitely. Youssef and Philly, or even if you wanted to throw Barbara and Roxanne. Shoot. Actually, no, skip that. How was Drew Dober and Lil Gastelum not? There were 3 other fights that should have
Well, I think their whole thought process was this is going to be on ESPN. It'll do big numbers because Conor McGregor is fighting in the main event, and all the bars and all the pay-per-view parties around the country are going to tune in to ESPN before they tune into pay-per-view. So let's just get as many as these young stars these guys who we think will be stars on the prelims where millions of people will see them,
Yeah.
and then just toss whatever on the main card because it won't matter because everybody's going to buy it anyway.
I get it, but
I mean, I'm with you. I'd rather like if I was buying this card, which I didn't, because
$64 you can
well, yeah, like
nah,
freaking,
bro.
yeah, no, fuck out of here. I'm not freaking paying $64 for freaking Conor McGregor's tune-up fight. But I understand from the standpoint of if you're a fan and you want the best possible fights at the top of the card to justify spending all that money. This was not that. But it is what it is.
But good win for Kelleher though.
Yeah, he
Because
bounced
he's been
back.
coming off injury, right?
Injuries. He had the loss to was it Montel Jackson,
Yep.
and then the loss before that to John Lineker, the
Yeah.
knockout loss. So, God, I miss John Lineker.
He needs to go to Rising. Him throwing soccer kicks would be crazy.
I forget. Do they allow soccer kicks in one, or is that because I remember that was a thing for a
It
hot
was a
second.
thing, but I haven't seen it in so long that I'm gonna assume they don't do it anymore. I can't
Damn,
remember the last time I've seen it.
no suplexes, no soccer kicks. The fuck is even the point?
Yeah. Nah. Shout out to Rising for having like the best rule set. Rest of y'all are slacking, man.
Hmm.
But nah, good win for Kelleher. That was a nasty guillotine choke in the first round. But let's just chill out on these contender series guys, man. Let's build them up the way they should be. Don't come out here and get them choked and have them tapping with their feet. But shout out to Kelleher though. Good win, man. Good win. Rounding out the main card, pretty interesting fight. I was looking forward to this one. Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Anthony Pettis. Um, mm, um,
That was a kick-ass performance from Carlos Diego Ferreira.
yeah. That the push off the cage to get the
Mm,
takedown. Oh yeah, when he did that, I was like, "Ooh, Pettis, you in trouble, buddy."
yeah.
Yeah, it's mm,
See, like I really like this fight for two reasons. Like the pressure from Ferreira was the thing that took away all the striking off his Pettis. But the way he was able to get him down, like the thing that goes underappreciated about Pettis is how dangerous he is on the ground. Like that's where most of his finishes come. Like, but he's not particularly good like position grappler. So Ferreira basically just skipped the whole part of making of Pettis being dangerous by going to his back repeatedly,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to just like, oh, I'm just gonna shoot for this conventional double. He's like, no, I'm gonna duck under and get the back and mitigate having to deal with Pettis' guard game. That was a great performance. I really hope his leg's okay because I want to see him back out there soon. Um, but we've been on the CDF train for a while now. Him beating Rustam Kabalov how he did, and Jared Gordon. Who was the last dude? Was it Makachev?
Did they fight?
No, it wasn't Makachev. It was a different Russian dude. Taisimov,
Yeah.
Merrick. So, dudes look fantastic. This is his biggest win. This is a big name for him. He's 35, so the window's closing on a potential title fight, and with guys like Conor McGregor hanging around the top of the division, it's always going to be hard to guarantee anything for yourself.
Right.
So I'm happy he got a big name on his resume. So now we like,
Bro, he's got a nice win streak.
dude, yeah, 5 in a row.
Over Abin Mercier, Jaron Gordon, Kyle Nelson, Rustin Kabalov, Tyson Moff, and now Pettis. That's a night, and that's dating back to 2016. His last loss was in 2015 against Poirier.
And In a fight, he was doing really well in the feet. I didn't realize this until I went back and watched it this week. It was like it was one of those Max Holloway Poirier situations where Holloway was like landing these like nice combinations, and then all of a sudden in the middle of one, Poirier cracks him and he just shuts him down. It was like that, except he got knocked out. He was doing well. It wasn't perfect, but it was damn good work.
Oh, he was a legacy guy.
Yeah.
Hey, go Ferrero, man. I got to root for the Legacy FC alum. Oh yeah, he looked really good. Like outside of that one, like Pettis threw like he caught him with like a little 3-piece combination in the beginning. But outside of that, he didn't do much because he kept getting his back punched against the cage because that's just what happens in Pettis fights.
You never learn to pivot. Never learn to pivot.
And Ferreira coming up, like pressuring but still keeping like that leg up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed that like off top. Like he's trying not to get leg kicked and probably doesn't want to get body kicked either.
So it was really weird to me that Joe Rogan kept saying like, I've never seen that before. That's like a marching step. You see that in Muay Thai a lot.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan's apparently like a Muay Thai fan, so
like literally the first thing I thought of when I noticed him lifting his leg up, I immediately flashed back to Pettis body kicking Cerrone into oblivion.
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he doesn't want that to happen. Which, yeah, good on you. Don't you shouldn't want that to happen. Who would you like to see him fight next? He's got a nice little streak going.
Hooker and Felder fight next month, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming. Should be coming up sometime pretty soon.
I'd like to see him fight the winner of that. Maybe Poirier. If Poirier decides to come back, I'd be down for that rematch. I would have said Edson Barboza, but Edson Barboza decided to, jump ship to featherweight. So, they matched up basically all the top 155ers.
At this point, he's gotten a win streak, especially with a name like Pettis, that he got to start getting some names now. Like the names that he needs to fight need to be some recognizable.
I mean, if Justin Gaethje is looking for a fight, for that, because I think they said he wanted to be on the Tony Khabib card. I'd be down for that.
What about since Lee is booked with
Do Bronx,
Carlos Ferreira Makachev?
I mean, I feel like Ferreira deserves a bigger name.
Yeah, true. Or the winner of or I wouldn't mind the winner of I wouldn't mind the winner of Felder and God, why am I blanking? Felder and Hooker, or the winner of the Do Bronx and the Do Bronx Lee fight.
Yeah.
Especially if Lee wins.
I mean, if Ferreira wants to take another fight, I'm down with seeing him fight Makachev because that's an interesting matchup, contrast of styles. But yeah, no. Like I'm excited for this dude in 2020. Like he is very, very good.
Yeah, and he's shown that jiu-jitsu. Don't let him push off the cage on you.
Right. Like
not gonna end well. But yeah, I think he's got some good options. But hopefully, his next fight they do give him a name, man. He's definitely earned it. After beating Pettis, that's a nice name recognition on your record. I feel like it can only go up from there. So yeah, man, great performance from Diego Ferreira. As for Pettis, I don't know. Pettis is just kind of Pettis at this point, man. I think we kind of know just what he is. I think he just kind of is what he is. He'll come around. He'll give us some fun fights every now and again. He'll win some. He'll lose some. And it kind of is what it is.
Sad. Like he could I read an article by somebody over at the fight site. God, was it Julian Lang? Just talking about like it basically followed the technical strides that Pettis had made over his career. And it's just like there were so many times where it felt like he was going to take that step, and he added things to his game to mitigate the fact that he's not really like an angles type of guy. But like there was so much potential for him. Like, there's a dude who I think could, like, if he had made the right choices back around the RDA fight, he'd still be like an elite lightweight. But like, he was always looking for a shortcut to get better. Like, the cut to 145, you know, the like the fact that he just skipped out on so much of his strength and conditioning at the early parts of his career, and when he got hurt, like, it all added up, and it's just like you could have been so good.
And I guess not to diminish, because he did make it to the top of the mountain. Like,
That's the thing.
He became a champion, but it's like it feels like you could have been one of those guys that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. And in totality, he still had a pretty great career.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely. Dude was on the Wheaties box, like,
right. Like, when you mention the lightweight division, you have to bring his name up at some point. But it feels like there should be just like more there to his legacy. Like, there should be more. But like I said, I guess at this point, man, he kind of just is. He just kind of is what he is. But hope to see him back, and like I said, hope the leg is okay. But yeah, shout out to Carlos Diego Ferreira, amazing performance. Give that man a big fight. He has earned it. Boom, that was the main card. Prelim spotlight, which I think there were good enough of. Shoot, I feel like you can pick two. I can pick two.
Yeah. Like the entire ESPN prelim slot was great.
Yeah. I guess off top, I'll give mine to I'm gonna start with the Dober and Nasrat Haqparast fight. This fight once again proves like how talented this division is, and we've seen Dober over his last couple of fights. Like, dude he has been really out here handling business. Like, I was still surprised that he got Haqparast out of there so quick. But also at the same time, when I look back at Dober's last couple of fights, it's like he has been really good. Like, this ending wasn't super far-fetched. I think it's just because a lot of us, rightfully so, were really high on Haqparast. And albeit it was a tough matchup, but it seemed like a fight that he could win, and Dober shut him down, man. Haqparast do that. And I saw your rant, you're on Tumblr, the blind leg, the naked leg kick. Threw the naked leg kick, got blasted with a counter.
No, he just looked completely off from like the start of the fight. I'm not sure if it's because Dober was also a southpaw, but like he did not look like he had any idea of like what the distance was going to be for this one.
Yeah, and then like when he did engage, punches were kind of wild. But yeah, Dober countered him, put him down. Not saying it's over for Haqparast. It's the lightweight division, bro. You're going to take a loss. Like, everybody's too good. But that's a great win for Dober. Beating a guy who a lot of people were really high on. I can't remember what the odds were in this fight, but I know Dober was an underdog, and he went in there and really got it done. It looked really good doing it. So definitely props to Drew Dober. That was a really good win, good victory, good finish for him. And gotta give a shout out to, man. Shout outs to who I want to get my. You know what? I'm gonna do the Sadiq Youssef fight and Andre Fili fight only because we were in the group chat talking about it. Shout outs to Stokes, man. Stokes. I wanted to believe in Philly, man. Like, the way the first round played out, albeit you could just see like Sadiq is just a crazy athlete, really strong, hits really hard. He's a scary guy, man. That's a scary dude in there. But when I'm seeing Sadiq land good shots, and he's probably winning the round. But the bits and pieces that I'm seeing for Philly, like, he's able to push him up against the cage. He's getting takedowns, even though like the takedowns aren't leading to anything like crazy substantial. I'm like, he's making Youssef work, And I'm like, if Feely can keep this up and just make him work, he might be able to find an opening, you know, late in the second or come the third round. But it just, you know, second round comes, Feely just kind of got handled the second round, didn't have a lot going on. But he rebounded great in the third, man. It seemed like Youssef, I don't know if it was a thing to where he was tired or if he thought he was winning the first two and just kind of coasted. But either way, like, Feely came alive in the third round, was able to get a lot of good offense off on Youssef, but it was kind of a too little too late kind of thing. But I thought Feely I thought Feely was gonna be able to outwork him and maybe squeeze like a decision off. But yes, I'm sorry, Stokes. I jinxed that fight. I thought I had a vision. I thought Feely was gonna get it done, and he came up just short. But Sadiq Youssef, still out here, man. It's a scary dude. I'm still not sold on the idea of him being a champ. That's just me. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of good tools, but I'm still not. He's winning, and that's good. And I think a Feely win, that's a good win because Andre Feely has been improving. He's been really good as of late. So this is still a quality win. And Youssef he's been pretty impressive in pretty much all of his performances. So I don't want to take anything away from him. But I think for me, he's going to be one of those guys that, in terms of calling him like a champion, I'm just going to have to see it to believe it.
All right. I'm kind of curious how he handles the pocket with somebody who's just not going to be knocked out, or like, because like Feely here was whenever he got touched, like his whole entire body was just rocked, even on the jab. So I'm kind of curious, like because Feely hurt him in that first round, rocked him like really hard, with an extended sequence in the pocket, and and we saw him like just completely like slow down in that third round and get pieced up by Feely. So I'm with you. I'm not completely sold on him as like a future champion. Apparently he wants to go up to 155 because the weight, like he is a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
So it would not surprise me to see him move up to 155. Where I don't know if his power will carry, probably, but I think it'll loosen him up a little bit. I think he's a little stiff on the combination punching side anyway. You know, he doesn't have to put as much behind everything. But yeah, solid performance. I didn't expect the grappling.
Yes, that was good to see.
Yeah, that was good to see. Well-rounded. Or, you know, I'm still on my my fuck Lloyd Irvin vibe. So I'm happy that him and his immediate family got citizenship though. So props in for that.
And I'll say last thing on the grappling now, because I wasn't sure how dimensional he was as a fighter. So the grappling for me did kind of put the rest like, all right, he's pretty competent everywhere. So I'll nick that criticism in the bud. Not saying like he's like an elite grappler, but that part of his game is clearly there, and it looks like it's pretty solid. So he has a bright future, I think. I just want to see a little more. But I'll let you handle these other two.
Yeah. So Roxanne Modafferi, she is out here and she is just snatching the wigs off these young 125ers. I said coming into this fight, I said when they made this fight, I am not sold that Macy Barber is better than Paige Van Zandt. In fact, she might be worse than Paige Van Zandt. You know, she hurt her knee obviously in this fight, but that first round was not a ringing endorsement. And we'll get back to the knee, and we'll get back to the doctor. The doctor in a second. But Roxanne Modafferi takes a unanimous decision over Macy Barber. Just absolutely pieces her up on the feet. Takes her down. Spends most of the first round on top of her. Second round, same deal, except This time she jabs Macy Barber, and Barber collapses because it looks like her left knee just folds in on itself. Spends the entire round basically on the bottom. Third round, a lot of the same. Modafferi bloodies her up, takes the unanimous decision win. Barber probably tears her ACL and probably is going to be out for a while. I saw a lot of people saying or a lot of fighters in particularly I saw a lot of Rufus Sport fighters, Mike Rhodes and what's the other dude's name? Crap, I forgot his name. But complaining to like MMA media that a fighter with a torn ACL would not want the fight to end. But it's not about what the fighter wants. It's about making sure that the fighter is able to go back out there in like 6 months and fight for a living, as opposed to sit on the shelf for a year and a half, like Ketlin Vieira had to do. So you might have just shortened her career by having her go back out there for that third round. And can we talk about the doctor real quick?
Oh yeah.
So at the beginning of the third round, the referee calls the doctor into the cage and has him check Macy Barber's knee. She's standing up, by the way, so like it's not like I have to agree with Joe Rogan on this. I think this only happened because Macy Barber's a woman. I don't see them calling the doctor in at the beginning of the round to check the knee for like male fighters. And the doctor forces Barber to sit down, and he examines her knee for like a second, and it's like she has a partial knee tear. It's fine. And it's just like, dude, are you an MRI machine? just like complete diagnosis and everything. Macy Barber gets taken down and screams in pain because of how bad her leg is. So, if he is an MRI machine, he's not a particularly good one.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that ever.
Yeah.
In any combat sport, in any kind of like I've never seen that.
Yeah, that was some woof.
Yeah, and it's like for her coin, like if this was like a title fight, I could see it. Like, all right, title fight. You don't know how often he's come around. You want to go out on your shield. All right, man, whatever. Do what you do. This ain't no title fight. Probably not even really a contender fight. It was probably no need for you to see a second and third round. Like, it's like at some point, man, you just gotta cut your losses. It sucks. It really sucks. But you just gotta live to fight another day. And not saying she's not gonna fight another day, but it's just like, thank God she wasn't fighting somebody who was really attacking that leg.
Mm-hmm.
Because that could have gotten a lot worse. She's lucky Modafferi was really just trying to take her down and work her, as opposed to, I'm going to make you stand up on this knee that's busted. I'm just going to kick you in it. And God knows what else, how much worse that could have gotten. But it's like, hey, y'all could have pulled Macy out of there, man. Y'all could have pulled Macy out of there. But, now, like you said, Roxanne gets the honorary Get Off My Lawn award.
Yeah.
Because this was a prime example of kicking somebody off the lawn. Like,
on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset do you think the UFC is with Roxy? Because this is the second time in like a year that she's done this. Because she did it to Antonina Shevchenko, my bad. Like, it's funny. The only ones who've been the only young flyweights who have been able to beat Roxanne were Sajara Eubanks and Nico Montano, and now neither one of them are at flyweight. Yeah, so
look at Roxanne out here ending careers.
like, I'm happy for her though, because like she's been fighting for 17 years.
Yeah,
like she has been like she fought Tara La Rosa when Tara La Rosa was like the pound for pound best fighter on the planet. She fought Laura August, who was the pound for pound best fighter on the planet. She fought Marlos Conan twice. Beat her once, I think. Or did she fight her twice, or am I making that up? No, I think she beat her once. I think Conan beat her. No, they fought twice. I'm not crazy. Okay. She fought, Shayna Baszler when that meant something back in the day. Jennifer Howe, Megumi Yabushita. Like, she's fought a lot of people who, like, if you're an MMA fan who only came to sport in the last couple of years, or even if you were a fan back then, you don't know who they are unless you were following women's MMA. Like, she has been around. It's great to see her like finally get some recognition.
They snubbed her on the bonuses though. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, there were a lot of impressive performances last night. I hope she got something to the table.
I hope so. Yeah, she could have got performance. She could have got a performance bonus. For people who don't know, performance bonuses went to Connor, Olenek, Kelleher, Fahea, and Dober. I feel like she could have went there, especially considering the underdog she was.
Yeah.
Like
that's the other thing. Why the fuck was she so, like I mentioned on last week's podcast. I think I posted on Tumblr before the fight. I was like, I could see Roxanne Modafferi winning the first half of this fight, and then Macy Barber just deciding to go ham and then knocking her out. Because that's how Macy Barber fights go, where she just loses and then she's like, oh wait, I'm a better athlete, and then she wins. But like, there was no doubt in my mind Roxanne was a better fighter. And for all the the mileage she probably has on her body from like almost 2 decades of fighting, she's rarely been knocked out, like, ever. Like, Sarah Kaufman did it, Jessica Rakosi did it, but even that was like a trade-off and it was on tough, so it doesn't really count, as we all know. So like, yeah, I'm a little confused by that. I think a lot of people were buying into Macy Barber just because they hate Paige Van Zandt and her.
well, saw how that turned out.
Yeah. Props to Roxanne. Just absolutely dominant performance. And I hope we see her back out there this year. Next up, Askar Askarov, Tim Elliott. I cannot believe they tried to get rid of this fucking division, because it has just been nothing but bangers as of late. Askar Askarov takes a unanimous decision over Tim Elliott. He also knocked him out for like half a second.
Bro, he was dead. That man was dead, dead and alive at the same time. Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely free. Like, so, I haven't seen much of Askarov's pre UFC run, and like the only parts of the Brandon Moreno fight I really remember are him and on the ground trying to control Moreno. So I didn't expect him to come out here and just box the shit up out of Tim Elliott, who admittedly has always been one of those guys who is very hittable on the feet. He's just really awkward. But he hit him with a 3-piece that it looked like he died for a second. Like, his body went stiff. The jab was a jab cross hook combination. His body went stiff. Like, it looked like he was about to fall backwards, and through sheer force of will alone, he was able to stand up. And Askarov got him down and basically stalled. Like, I'm not gonna say they stalled out, but Tim Elliott was doing this weird thing from half guard where he was like reaching over Askarov's back and grabbing his own knee to like break his posture so he could recover, which he did. Much more competitive second round. Tim Elliott hit 3 separate like sweeps, like hip tosses on Askarov, who had no answer for them. He got up the first 2 times and proceeded to beat Tim Elliott up on the feet, but the third time Elliott was able to keep him down for the rest of the round. Most of the rest of the round anyway. Third round was Tim Elliott clearly gassed and beat up, marching down Askarov, who was also clearly tired, maybe not gassed, and Askarov punching the shit out of him, while Elliott just put his hands on his hips and gasped for air. So,
Yeah, that's long live flyweight.
Long live this division. The
That
fact
three-piece was crazy.
that was so quick too. Like I don't even think I realized he got hit when he was right. He was so quick.
It was weird because like his body was hunched over, and it was like his soul was about to leave his body, and like he grabbed his soul and was like, "No, we're not done yet. Like we have to go back." He was definitely pronounced dead for like a good 3 seconds.
Props to Elliot, man. Like, he is tough as shit. Like, but oof, Askarov. What a way to get your first win in the UFC.
Hey man,
Brandon Moreno's fighting Juicy, right?
I think so.
I'm just saying they should have ran that fight back. They could have ran that fight back.
Askarov looks like he might have some promise. Like there's a lot of good tools there.
Yep.
A lot of good tools there. But no, yeah, long live flyweight, man. Flyweight has been showing out.
Bring back Dustin Ortiz, damn it.
Oh yeah, he is gone.
That makes me sad. Like he was just starting to hit like his peak when he bounced. So when they cut him anyway, I should say. Sad stuff. Yeah, but that's it from the UFC ESPN prelims. I don't want to really talk about Kumir versus Ledet.
Nah, I'll just read the results real quick and we'll move on. I didn't see any of the fight pass, so I can't speak on them. But just a quick recap of the prelims. Roxanne Modafferi, unanimous decision over Macy Barber. Sadiq Youssef, unanimous decision over Andre Fili. Askar Askarov, unanimous decision over Tim Elliott. And Drew Dober via TKO over Nasrat Haqparast. And then the fight pass prelims was Alexa Kamer versus Justin Ledet. Kamer won via unanimous decision. And the fight that I was actually really looking forward to and didn't get a chance to watch at women's flyweight, Sabina Mazo got a split decision over J.J. Aldridge. I saw some people who were questioning that decision, but I didn't watch the fight, so I can't really speak on it.
It was a contentious one at that. It was a very competitive fight. It was a tale of two fights. First half of the fight, Aldridge won. Second half of the fight, Mazo won. Came down to the second round. So
there we go. That was UFC 246. Like as a card, it was good. Just as a pay-per-view, yeah. But you know, as just as an overall just experience of just watching it, I had a pretty good time. Like really, the only black eye on this card for me was the Holman Raquel Pennington fight. Like everything else, I was pretty entertained. Like the prelim started off with heat. We got Drew Dober and Haqparast out the gate, and Dober shocked us all with the TKO. And I feel like the card pretty much kept the steam going from there. Like Elliott and Askarov was crazy. Sadiq Youssef was as good as I think a lot of us hoped it would be. Roxanne went out, kicked the youngin off the lawn. Like the card had really good momentum, carried over to the main card. Diego Ferreira, great submission over Pettis. The Kelleher fight, which I wasn't like hyped for, but great finish. Heavyweights, I'm always iffy on, but I found some entertainment in the fight, so it was cool. Holman Raquel Pennington was a snoozer, but McGregor and Cerrone closed the show out. Cerrone got him out there in under a minute. McGregor got him out of there in under a minute. It was a good card. Like $64 worth? Nah. But as just an overall experience of just watching it and just enjoying fights, I had a good time. It was a good time. So that was UFC 246. Well, being as the announcement I made, won't hear from us next week, but that doesn't mean that you still shouldn't watch the fights and things that are going on. So what we got next week? Boom, 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 boom. We got Curtis Blades and Junior Dos Santos. That's going down on the 25th over there in Raleigh, North Carolina. So you'll have Blades versus Dos Santos. You got Rafael Dos Anjos versus Michael Chiesa. Jordan Espinoza versus Alex Perez. Angela Hill versus Hannah Cipher. Who else is on the card? Bavon Lewis versus Daquan Townsend. Justine Kish versus Lucy Pudilova. Montel Jackson, who we mentioned earlier, is fighting Felipe Diaz Corrales. Brett Johns versus Tony Gravely. Herbert Burns versus Nate Landwehr.
Arnold Allen, Nick Lentz.
Oh yeah, Arnold Allen, Nick Lentz. Couple of solid fights on there. So that's going down on the 25th. Definitely looking forward to Blazing Dos Santos. I'm scared for Dos Santos. I don't want to see him get taken down and mauled. So.
Well, too bad.
Let me dream.
But
It's hard because I like both of them, man. I like Blades, but like Dos Santos is probably like my favorite heavyweight like ever. So I don't want to see him get handled. But also on that same day, also on the 25th over at Bellator 238, got a pretty big card going on. Chris Cyborg versus Julia Budd for the women's featherweight title. Also continuing this tournament, Darian Caldwell versus Adam Borix. Sergio Pettis making his Bellator debut against Alfred Kashkayan. Henry Corrales versus Juan Archuleta. That should be a dope fight. Ava Knight is back fighting Emily Geddes. Aaron Pico is returning against Daniel Carey. A couple other. Oh God, the name that I shall not mention. He's on this card.
yeah.
But Curtis Melendez back in Bellator fighting Moses Moreta. That should be fun. And Raymond Daniels back again on Bellator fighting Jason King.
And Ava Knight, former women's boxing world champion.
Yeah, so a lot going on, man. That card's actually pretty good, man. That's a pretty.
It's a pretty interesting card.
Yeah.
A name that stood out to me that I didn't realize was like still around. Brandon Bender. Do you remember Brandon Bender?
Let me take a peek at this record.
So Brandon Bender was a guy who went like 10-0 at bantamweight and was like supposed to get into the UFC, but he was fighting in like Gladiator Challenge, and his only good win was Jared Papazian.
I'll say that was the one name that stood out from this record.
Yeah, and then he disappeared in 2014 for God knows what reason. I'm assuming because he realized fighting was stupid, and then he came, and for whatever reason, he decided to come back 6 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, fair to him, I guess.
Well, at least he might be a little older, but his body's probably
Yeah.
not accumulating damage over the years. So.
But
no, that's a really good Bellator card.
Yeah.
That's a really solid card.
I don't know if it's $20 a month good, but if you have the zone, you are inclined to it.
Yeah, I'll be watching it.
There's also a Crush card next week for all you J kickboxing fans. Crush 110. Gonapar versus Takumi Yokoyama is the main event. I'm not even going to bother with the undercard because I went through it earlier. I didn't recognize a lot of these dudes. Yeah, so go if you're looking for some kickboxing next week, that's going to be happening. And over on Showtime, Danny Garcia. Yeah, he's going to be fighting Ivan Redcatch. Does that do anything for you, Sensei?
I mean, like if it's on, like it's gonna be one of those fights that I'm gonna forget about until like I get on Twitter
and
I
the
see
one
somebody
boxing
post
account is like, yeah, Danny Garcia is walking out to the ring, and
right, and I'll be like, you know what? All right, I might turn over to a couple seconds, see what's going on.
Yeah, but that card also has Stephen Fulton versus Arnold Kage as the IBO Super Bantamweight Championship's gonna be on the line. Jared Hurt, Francisco Santana, and that's basically it. Basically anything anybody should care about, I should say. So there's some stuff. The year is starting to pick up again. Everybody's back from Christmas and New Year's and Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, so yeah, fights are getting back in full swing. Holidays are over, so time to kick it back in full gear. But yeah, man, that's what's upcoming next week. That's pretty much it for today's episode. So close out with fight recommendations before we get out of here. Mine, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this fight on this podcast before. I've watched it 99 times. This morning was the 100th time. My fight recommendation, a classic if you're an MMA fan and not a boxing fan, you should watch this fight. It's amazing. Diego Chico Corrales, RIP Chico. Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo. I'm referencing the first fight because they fought twice. I want to say, right? Yeah, they fought twice. But
yes, sorry.
Amazing fight, man. Just one of those fights that's just once you cut it on, it's hard to stop watching. It's just such a good, it's like a movie fight, like back and forth. And one of the things that really stood out in this fight to me was aside from the 10th round, which was like legendary, there was a lot of good kind of like phone booth fighting where they were both just like in really close quarters and kind of like that clinch distance, but they're not clinching. Like, we just gonna lean forward in this little 2x2 booth, and we're just gonna trade. And it was just back and forth, man. They both rocked each other numerous times. The 10th round, Chico got dropped twice, I think, and got a point deducted for a low blow. So it was like he had no choice but to come back and win the fight because the tide of the fight completely changed. Ends up getting a finish in the 10th round. One of the best fights you'll ever watch. It's just every so often I just go back and watch it because it's just amazing. That fight is, if I made an all-time fight list, it's in my probably top 3. Like that fight is so good. It's so good. But fight recommendation, man: Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo. The first fight.
Yeah, that is an amazing fight. I'm gonna go boxing too. Timothy Bradley versus Ruslan. God, I always fuck up his name. Ruslan Prodnikov. Pravadnikov. So, Ring Magazine and Boxers Writing Association of America's Fight of the Year in 2013. Oh, God, I don't even know how to describe it, man. Just go watch it. It's Ruslan Pravadnikov is not going to go down as one of the greatest boxers of all time, but dear God, like, this is a man who's been in some wars, people. If you haven't seen any of the fights from his career, go watch some of them. They're not for the faint-hearted. This dude went out on his shield and he gave Timothy Bradley everything he could handle and more. But yeah, no, that was a great fight.
There you go. Do your boxing homework.
Also, shout out to how do you pronounce this dude's name? Ali Radarek, at Radarek Boxing on Twitter. Dude's been posting like threads of like gifs of like famous boxing matches, and like they are so many good, like just such like good old technical breakdowns and stuff of like the stuff going on in the gifs. Like great stuff. Go follow him if you haven't already.
Boom. Oh, there you go. That was UFC 246. Fight recommendations, all that good stuff. Like I said, man, guys, I'll be releasing another episode at some point this week. Explaining the future of the podcast and how the eventual wind down will happen. But just to reiterate, after this episode and the episode of me explaining things, we'll be on a little hiatus until basically just covering pay-per-views from here on out. So you'll hear from us again for Jones Reyes. You'll hear from us again for I'm blanking out already. What's the other pay-per-view? Adesanya and Romero. And then you'll hear from us again for Khabib and Tony. God willing, again, knock on all the wood you can that fight happens. And then after Khabib Tony, we'll plan a special closeout final episode. And then that'll be the end of our run. But we'll get there when we get there. Try not to be too sad about it now. But just wanted to brace you guys so you know it's coming. So when episodes stop uploading, you don't think like, oh, we just quit.
Yeah.
we just up and we just flipped the desk and we just left. But nah. So just wanted to brief you guys on that. But like I said, second episode coming this week. I'll go a little more in depth of things. But yeah, that was it for UFC 246. Any quick closing thoughts before we get out of here?
No.
I'll just reiterate, man. Don't know what's going on with Robert Whittaker, but prayers, best of luck, best wishes.
Prayers for Australia in general.
Yeah. Going through a lot over there. Going through a whole lot over there. So hope everybody's good, man. Couldn't imagine. But hope everybody's good over there. Prayers and thoughts to everybody in Australia. But that's all we got for today, man. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you post, share, do all that for this episode. And we will catch you guys next time when John Jones and Dominic Reyes are in there throwing leather, and I'll see if Reyes can pull it off. But that's all we got for today's episode, man. So as always, you can give this podcast a listen: SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all various other streaming platforms. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page and the Instagram page. You can hit me up on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei, and you can follow Antacool on Twitter at GC Zeus. That is all we got for today. See you guys next month. So as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.